Hey guys, hopefully everyone is doing well. Today's target is to solve question number 5.24, and the chapter which we are related with is cost, profit, volume analysis. There are several factors, supporting statements, performa, format we have already discussed as we are up to 5.24. So you are well familiar with contribution margin, format, income statement. You are well familiar with break-even points, and we have already demonstrated mixed type of contribution income statement. What is that? If there are more than one product, we can make income statements of that. Here, very first thing is to see the volume of the question. From here, your question is starting and it's going down and down and down, continues to this. So volume of the question is suggesting that it has a length and it would be a long question. But I would like to repeat the concept of management accounting. Since it's not a financial accounting, we are not supposed to do clerical works or longer numerical problems. As manager have to take the decision. So with supporting statements, very small calculation, even to avoid the shortest income statement, which is contribution margin format income statement. So with the help of tiniest and shortest statements, a manager is supposed to make the decision. Now let's see the question format which we are looking at here. Introduction is in its first paragraph, and this and that name etc has been discussed in first three lines, and we are coming over here. I would be introducing this organization which is producing three different types of products: standard, deluxe and pro. Their individual selling price is mentioned over here, individual variable cost is mentioned, and total factory overhead is also mentioned over here. Let's forward and sales. First time we can look at the sale is given for two different months, April and May. Next, prepare income format, contribution format income statement for April and May separately, and performa it is suggested by the question as well. But we do know if we want to make the performa, what we need. Tiniest thing would be introduced as an additional element, that would be units. Units are not mentioned over here, so we would be adding unit to make it more understandable. So let's go and see what we can do. Here I have divided these line into three parts, and this last column will be used for calculation of total. Here we will be making for income statement for the first product, and that would be, I think, standard. We will check it. This place would be fixed for second product, which is, I think, deluxe, and the next part would be used for making income statement for last product, which is pro. Let's check it out whether it is standard, deluxe and pro. Yes, we have three products: standard, deluxe and pro. And next thing which we will be doing would be units. As usual, per unit would be written over here, and we will be writing amount over here. This would be for product standard, and then we will be writing again units, per unit, and amount would be posted over here. Finally, for pro, again units, per unit, and amount would be written over here. And what last column will be used to calculate our total. So in this way, we will be making income statement for mixed sort of products. There are more than one product. So hopefully you people have reminded that what basic target is. To make income statement, very first thing is we will write sales over here. Then we will subtract variable cost. We will get contribution margin. And finally, we will be subtracting variable cost and getting net margin. You have seen that right from the first question, we haven't changed basic theme or performa of this question, and same has been used over here. Now slowly you will have to be very calm, because when there are so many amounts length, you can see that these four lines will be used. It's not a lengthy question, but when there are large number of amounts present in the question, you will have to be very careful. And secondly, your brain and your mind should be very calm. Okay, let's go back and see. The first element which has been discussed is sale price for standard 40, 60 and 90. So we can write selling price 40, then 60, and finally 90 is the selling price. 40, 60, 90. Here 40, 60, 90, double check. And then variable expenses 22 and 2, 24 for standard. So you can write over here 24 variable expenses. Then we will see variable expenses for deluxe. This is deluxe 27 and 3, that means 30. So you can put 30 as variable expenses of deluxe. Now let's see variable expenses for pro. 31 and 4, 35, and 1 rupee, $36 would be for pro. Okay, the first part which we have completed is we have written their selling price. Now let's see what else is given. We have written sale price and we have written variable costs. Okay, two inputs are completed. Next, sales in units over the past 2 months are as follows. April units are given. So what we are going to do, we will complete it for April. Here we can mention that we are making every calculation regarding April. So again, we will be using units for April 215. So here 2000 units for standard, 1000 units for deluxe, and 5000 units for pro. Units are completed 215. Alright. So little more things would be discussed over here. We have just jumped. What is this? All sales are made through company's own retail outlets. The racket division has the following fixed costs. So this is fixed cost. We are related with total fixed cost. Individual fixed costs are not very much related to our income statement. So what we will do, we will take 2,70,000 total fixed costs. Okay, so come over here, and in front of fixed cost was meant to be fixed cost over here. So we are writing less fixed cost. Okay, and fixed cost is mentioned 2,70,000. So every input which was given in the question we have written. Sale price and variable cost mentioned, sale price, variable cost mentioned. Then after that fixed cost was written 2,70,000. Fixed cost is also been written over here, and you can see that fixed cost is fixed for both months. You will have to see that this is per month. That means if we are making for April, this would be 270,000, which is written over here, and in May it would also be 270,000. Units we have taken from here, April 215. So April 21 and 5,000 we have written. Since total in total column we are looking for amounts only, so it is unnecessary to be written units for the total column. That means we have completed inputs. It's time to start our calculations. First thing first, units for sales are always same to units of variable cost. You can write over here. In the similar way, for second product, selling units were 1000. 1000 would be units for variable cost. Then we will come to the Pro. 5000 were the units for Pro, and same 5000 units will be used for cost as well. To calculate the amount, we will multiply units into per unit. Units for standard 2000 and per unit sale price 40. So we have got selling price, and then units of standard 2000 and per unit cost is 24. So we have got our variable cost. For first product, it's time to calculate contribution margin, which is difference between variable cost and sale price was 8000 and variable cost is 48,000. Contribution margin is the difference, so that is why we are subtracting both. In this way, we have calculated our contribution margin for standard. It is completed. Now it's time to calculate amounts for deluxe. To calculate amount, we have to multiply units into per unit. Selling units are 1000 for deluxe, and per unit selling price is 60, which is mentioned over here, 60. So we have got sale price for deluxe. Now variable cost for deluxe, units would be multiplied by per unit. Units are 30 and it would be multiplied by per unit variable cost, which is 30. So we have got variable cost. Now here we are open to calculate individual contribution margin of deluxe by subtracting sales and variable cost. Amount of sale is 60,000. To calculate the difference, we will subtract variable cost, which is 30,000. The difference of variable cost and sales is contribution margin. So contribution margin for second product deluxe has been calculated. In the similar way, we are now up to Pro, where we will calculate the amount, which would be a product of units and per unit. Units of Pro 5000 and per unit sale price 90. Total sale price of Pro 4,50,000. Now we will calculate variable cost by multiplying units 5000 and per unit 36. Variable cost is mentioned over here. In this way, we have calculated variable cost. Both amounts arrived, and we are now able to calculate individual contribution margin for third product Pro, which is difference between variable cost and selling price. Sales is 4,50,000 and variable cost is 1,80,000. To calculate contribution margin, we will be looking for difference. So here our third contribution margin has also been calculated. For total, what we will do, we will sum up all sales of three different products. First product sale price was 80,000, and then you will add sale price for deluxe 60,000, and then you will add sale price for Pro product, third product. When you will add all sales, you will get total selling price. Similar way, we will be calculating variable cost. Total variable cost will be calculated by adding individual variable cost of all products. So first variable cost for the standard 48,000, then you will add individual variable cost of deluxe, then you will add individual variable cost of Pro. In this way, total variable cost would be calculated. Here we can calculate our total contribution margin, which is difference between variable cost and sales. Total sale is 5,90,000. To calculate the difference, we will subtract total variable cost, which is 258,000. So this way we have calculated our contribution margin. Now it's time to calculate our net margin, which is difference between fixed cost and contribution margin. Total contribution margin here we have calculated is 3,32,000, and total fixed cost is 2,70,000. So in this way, first contribution margin have been calculated, that is 62,000. Hopefully you have understood it. So now let's see the answer which is given. You can see prepare contribution margin format income statement for April, and first answer is 62,000 and our answer is also 62,000. So April contribution margin April income statement has been completed. So we are doing the same thing for May as well. For May, what I am doing that is little easy for me. I will take everything from here and I will use it for making income statement for May. Just by changing the names, instead of April, I'm going to make income statement for May. I will change number of units, and let's see if per unit cost is also being changed. Per unit variable cost is similar, just units we need to change. Okay, I'm deleting number of units of all products, by which what will happen? All calculations would be vanished. Obviously, these calculations would also be changed since we are changing the number of units. Just performa we have copied. Okay, 270,000 fixed cost would be similar. We will go to the question and we'll see number of units for May. Here units are mentioned. April units were 215 and May units are 813. So what we will do, 8,000 units for standard, 1,000 units for deluxe, and finally what was 813. So 3,000 units for pro. So we are very open to make our calculations by self, because the only thing which we were required to change were units. We have changed units according to May. Look at here, 813, 8,000, 1,000, 3,000, 8,000, 1,000, 3,000. It was a double check actually. Okay, 8,000 units for sale, and as we know that same number of units would be used for variable cost. In the similar way, 1,000 was units for sales, 1,000 would be for variable cost as well. 3,000 units for sales for third product, and same number of units would be used to calculate the cost. So our performa has been completed. It's time to start our calculation. First, we will be willing to calculate the amount of sales, which is product of units and per unit. Number of unit 8,000, and we will multiply it with per unit. Per unit selling price for standard in May is 40. So we have got our sale price. Time to calculate our variable cost. How? By multiplying units into per unit. Units for May for standard products 8,000, its variable cost is 24. So we have got our variable cost for standard. Contribution margin has been automatically calculated. Add Excel copied the formula. Contribution margin is difference between sale and variable cost. Sale was 320, variable 192,000, and difference of these two products 128,000, automatically arrived contribution margin. Then we will come to deluxe product. We have number of units of deluxe 1,000 for May, and it would be multiplied by per unit, which is 60 selling price. We have got total sale for deluxe in the month of May. Now we will be calculating variable cost for deluxe in the month of May. Number of unit 1,000, per unit cost 30. So we have got variable cost as well. Finally, contribution margin is automatically calculated, which is difference between variable cost and sales. Sale was 60,000, variable cost 30,000. So we have contribution margin 30,000 for deluxe in the month of May. Now we are up to pro. To calculate selling price, we will multiply units into per unit. Units are 3,000 for pro in May, and it would be multiplied by per unit selling price of pro 90 in month of May. Total selling price 270,000. Now we will be calculating variable cost for May. Pro product number of units 3,000. It would be multiplied with per unit 36. So we have got variable cost for pro in the month of May. All individual calculations are completed, and we now can calculate the total as a whole total selling price. For that, we will add all individual sales. First 3,20,000 sale of standard, then we will go and see sale price of deluxe, we will add it, and then we will add selling price of pro. In this way, by adding three individual selling price, we will get total selling price. It's time to calculate variable cost. So what we will do, variable cost for standard in May 192,000 will be added, 30,000 variable cost for month of May product deluxe. Then we will add variable cost of pro 108,000 in the month of May. When we will add all three variable costs, we will get total variable cost for as a whole. We have got our contribution margin total as well, which was difference between VC and sales. Total sales 6 lakh 50, total variable cost 3 lakh 30, and we have got total contribution margin as 3 lakh 20,000. Fixed cost was the same as in month of April and May. These are same. But now your contribution margin, so net margin is 50,000. So it's surprisingly different. In April we have got net margin 62,000, and in May we have got net margin as 50,000, which is quite strange. Why? Because as we will progress in next months, our profit should be increased. So instead of increasing, the profit or net margin has been decreased from 62,000 to 50,000. Anyhow, let's check it out the answer. We have second answer 50,000. Prepare contribution margin format income statement April May. April answer was 62, May answer 50,000. You can see that 62,000 and 50,000. In this way, our first part has been completed. So let's close it, and we will now see what second part is saying to us. Okay. Second part is upon seeing income statement, we have already observed the income statement. President said, I can't believe this. We have sold 50% more rackets in May than in April. And this is an interesting story how you can observe number of units. In April, we have sold 8,000 rackets, and in May, we have sold 12,000 rackets. So obviously, if you are selling more number of units, your profit should have been increased. But surprisingly, when you were selling 8,000 units, your net margin was 62,000. And while selling 12,000 rackets, that means number of racket has been increased, but your net margin has been dropped. So what he wants us to say, what other explanation can you give for the drop in net operating income? Okay, even number of unit has been increased. What could be the reason? So we will observe our variable cost, because as it is the only factor which can change the scenario. For that, we will observe our income statements. Now here variable cost 48,000, but variable cost 1,92,000 in May. In April, deluxe variable cost 30,000, deluxe variable cost again 30,000. There is no difference. So it means there is no role of deluxe in both months. In April, variable cost for pro 1,80,000 and variable cost has been decreased pro 108,000. Okay, it is encourageable. What does that mean? Our variable cost for pro and deluxe has none of the concern with decrease in profit. Please understand it again. Variable cost 30,000, 30,000, no effect. Variable cost 180 and 108. It means variable cost for pro has been decreased. So these both are in good condition, deluxe and pro. But what major difference has been created is for standard. 48,000 variable cost here, and variable cost has been increased from 48 to 1,92,000. Huge increase in variable cost. With which what happened? Your variable cost has increased from 258 to 330. Although your sale has been increased, but what next sentence I will say, please note it down. Proportionate change in sale, though sale is also increasing. Proportionate change in sale is less than proportionate change in variable cost. Note out this sentence by rewinding your lecture. That means the way sale is increasing is less than the way variable cost is increasing. In other meaning, variable cost is increasing in more of the percentage as compared to the change in sales. Another sentence, change in variable cost is more than change in sales. This is the reason with which our profit has been dropped. So for which portion that was? For second solution, what you will say, change in variable cost is more than change in sales. It caused the drop of net margin. So this is the reason why our net margin has been dropped, because variable cost has increased more than the increase in sales. So two part has no calculation. In second part, we are only associated with theoretical portion, and we have answered that change in variable cost is way more than change in sales. That is why we are facing loss. Third part we are going to see is uh, we need to calculate break even point in dollars. Let's go and calculate third part. Since we are supposed to calculate break even point in terms of dollars or amount, how do we calculate? Fixed cost is divided by CM ratio. Okay, so fixed cost, as we know that it is fixed for each month, 2,70,000. So we can write our fixed cost as 2,70,000. Then we need to divide by CM ratio, and that we can calculate over here. CM ratio would be calculated by dividing CM to sales. Okay, and contribution margin we will take total. Contribution margin in April was, which month he wants to calculate? Let's see. April. We are related with April, so we will follow only these calculation. In April, our contribution margin 332,000. So we can put 332,000 over here divided by sales of April. Let's see. This is April and sales are 590,000. So we can put 590,000 over here. Okay, statement completed. Now put it on your calculator. 332,000 divided by 590,000. In this way we have got our CM ratio, and same CM ratio will be put over here, 0.56271. Statement completed. Put it on your calculator. 270,000 divided by 0.56271. So we have got our break even point here, 479820, and we have got 479,820, 479,820, and 479,820. Why approximate is written over here? Because there is some decimal amount as well. So number 3 has also been completed. We have calculated the break even point, 479. 3 is completed. Number 4. Without doing calculation, explain whether the break even would be higher or lower with the May mix. Obviously, when break even point would be calculated for May, where there are number of units have been increased from 8,000 to 12,000, it would definitely be different and increased. And we can, though it has been said do not make calculation, but it's a matter of just one line, so we will calculate so that understanding can be developed in better way. So for May, we can also calculate break even point in terms of dollar. And how do we calculate? We will divide fixed cost by CM ratio. fixed costs would remain same as usual, 270,000 for April and 270,000 for May as well. We need to divide it with CM ratio. For CM ratio, we will come over here. As for month of May, CM ratio would be different. How do we calculate CM ratio? By dividing CM to sales. Contribution margin for May. Now here we are in May. Contribution margin 320. So we will put 3,20,000 over here and would be divided by sales of May 6,50,000. Okay, so what you will do, you will be dividing 6,50,000 over here. Statement is completed. Let's put it on our calculator. 320,000 divided by 6,50,000. So we have got contribution margin for May. We are open to put over here 0.49231. So as we have predicted without calculation that our contribution margin in May would definitely be different as number of units has been increased in the month of May. So you can now open to divide 49231. So here you can see, as we have predicted that break-even point for the month of May would definitely be different and increased because number of units in May was increased. You can perform this function without any calculation by looking only the number of units. As you have seen, the month of May, number of units was changed from smaller amount to a larger amount. So in similar way, without calculation, it was easy to predict. I am setting here. Now this is little more teasing, so I need to put it back. Okay, so we can leave it over here because come to the point. Number 3, break-even point is 47 and break-even point is 54. It has been increased because number of units were increased. Number 3 has been completed. We are now up to fourth part and let's see what fourth part is saying. Fourth part has been calculated. Break-even point is calculated. Fourth part was without calculations. So here without calculations we could have discussed for the month of May. Orally we have discussed and practically we have as well discussed about break even for the month of May. It's time to go for fifth point. Let's see what is it. Assume the sale of standard increased by 20,000. Sale has been increased. Oh, what is this? It was disturbing. I was letting it to go other side. Okay. Assume that sale of standard racket increased by 20,000. What would be the effect on net operating income? It's very easy. You will calculate the difference of two contribution margins. Old contribution margin and new contribution margin when sale has been increased. Same would be the difference in our net operating income. Please try to understand if your sale is increasing or decreasing. As you know, your fixed cost would remain same, 2,70,000. So you do not have to calculate everything again. What you will do, old selling price is 80,000 for April and this is assume the sale of a racket increased by 20,000. So you will just see April old selling price, old variable cost, old contribution margin, and then you will see the new contribution margin for the April by increasing 20,000 sales. The difference would be the difference of net margin as well because fixed cost is same. There will not be any change in fixed cost. The only change would happen in this contribution margin statement. So this is what we are going to do. we can pick these points only, just 3 points, and taking it to the downside, and we do not need to calculate everything again. Here your sale and your variable cost has been mentioned for the month of April, and what you will do, you will increase selling price by 20,000. What will happen? Old selling price was 80,000 and you are asked to change increase in standard by 20,000. With this, your variable cost would also be changed. And for that, we have a very desi formula. What you will do, old VC would be divided by old sales, and finally it would be multiplied by new selling price. Old VC is 48,000. 48,000 and old sale price is written over here 80,000, divided 80,000, and finally you need to multiply it with what? New sales. New sale is 1 lakh, so you can put over here. So what you have done, you have used a very simple formula, old VC divided by old sales and multiply by new sales. Statement is completed. We can put it on calculator. 48,000 divided by 80,000, and it would be multiplied by 1 lakh. Okay, we have got our new variable cost and it can be written over here. New variable cost was calculated 60,000, highlighting over here, and same amount would be put over here. It's time to calculate our contribution margin which is difference between variable cost and sales. Sales 1 lakh and we are going to subtract variable cost 60,000, so we have got our new contribution margin which is 40,000. Now you will be very much clear that if you will change your sale price 20,000 by rupees or dollars, if amount of sale has been increased from 80,000 to 1 lakh, that means $20,000 has been increased. Our net margin, our contribution margin would be increased by 8,000. So what will be the total difference? Here you can see 40,000 is new and old contribution margin 32,000. It means net change would be $8,000. So what will happen? Here is our April. Our sale price was 62,000. Sale price was 62,000. And when you will increase sale of standard product only in April, your net margin would be increased from 62,000 to what? 8,000 we have decided, it would become 72,000. Hopefully you people have understood that increase was, here we have calculated how much increase, 8,000, and finally we can predict from 62 to 8,000 it will go to 70,000. I was saying 72, it's not 72, 62,000, then add 8,000 net increase. So finally you will get your sale 70,000 if 20,000 sale has been increased for the product standard in the month of April. Answer would be what? Answer for fifth part is 8,000 would be the increase in net margin. Let's see the answer. Here you can see 8,000 is mentioned over here. If we will change sale and we are increasing the sale of standard racket by 20,000, net margin would be increased by 8,000. This is fifth A part we have completed. Let's write down its fifth A, and now we will see another change is asked to make 5B. And what is that change? What would be the effect if pro racket sale increased by 20,000? Here is pro. So what we will do, we will use these statements for pro, And what we have done for standard, we will be doing the same for pro as well. It's a good practicing question. So for now, what we will do, we will choose these statements for 5b. As we have done for 5a, we will be doing the same for April. But the product right now is pro. So we will be selecting this pro only. Old calculations are picked and we have written over here. The product which we are using is pro. Let's take it as well. Old selling variable cost and contribution margin has been calculated. This is old, and now we will calculate new, and for this we have said increase selling price by 20,000. So what you will do, 4,50,000 is old selling price. You will add $20,000 to increase it. Sale would be 470 instead of 450. Read it again. What would be the effect if pro racket? This is your pro racket. Sale increased by 20,000. So we have picked it. 4,50,000 was the old selling price, and we have added 20,000 to increase its sales. When sale will be increased, obviously your variable cost would also be increased. For that we have a desi formula. Old VC, if it is divided by old sales, we can get answer, and then it would be multiplied by new sales to get new variable cost. Which formula it is? For new variable cost. Okay, old VC 1,80,000, write down over here, and it is meant to be divided by old sales 4,50,000, put over here, and then you will be multiplying with new sales. New sale 4,70,000. So put over here. In this way our statement has been completed. We can now put it on calculator. What we will do, 1,80,000 divided by 4,50,000, and it would be multiplied by 4,70,000. So we have got our new variable cost, which is 1,88,000. Put it over here. New net margin we can calculate, which is difference. One second, there is an alignment effect. It should be present over here. Okay, now we can calculate our new net margin, which is difference between variable cost and sales. Amount of sale is 470,000, variable cost is 1,80,000. So we have got our new contribution margin. How much difference has been created? To calculate the difference, what you will do, this is your new contribution margin, subtract old contribution margin, and it is 12,000. This is called to be change in net margin is equal to 12,000. Let's check out the answer. Here you can see 8,000 was the first answer, 12,000 for 5b, and we have calculated 5b. Answer is 12,000. So all answers are matched. Theme is very important. You can see we haven't calculated total income statement. Just difference of contribution margin we have considered would be the same difference which would be created in total net margin. In first part you have seen that to calculate total margin, what you have to do. To calculate total margin, you were doing standard, deluxe and pro, and then total margin has arrived. But in 5b, you were not calculating everything. Just pro you have considered, pro's old contribution margin, pro's new contribution margin, and difference you have calculated over here. How old CM was subtracted by, or new CM subtract old CM with which you have calculated the difference. and this difference would be for this final statement of April as well. As I have told you, 62,000, and when you will change the sales of pro product in 5B, difference would be 12,000. So what you will conclude automatically, 62,000 total old net margin and 12,000 would be changed. So here total net margin would be 74,000 if you will increase $20,000 in pro racket. This was our second B part of 5. What would be the effect if pro racket sale increased by 20,000? So your answer would be 12,000, which is written over here. And finally total net margin would be changed from 62,000 to 74,000. So hopefully you people have understood the phenomena and theme of this question. It was really interesting because all concepts related to cost profit volume analysis were discussed over here. We have discussed break-even points, contribution margin, per unit cost, total cost, contribution margin per unit, total amount, per unit cost, individual net margins, individual contribution margins, total contribution margin. Almost every concept was discussed in these questions. Even then, we have completed and performed this question in written format. As you can see, the first part was over here. Then we have solved second part, then third, fourth, fifth A, fifth B, all parts are solved in written. Even then, if you have any query, any question about a tiniest amount written over here, you are very open to ask your queries. I will definitely be trying to answer them instantly. For the time being, question number 5.24 has been ended. We will surely be meeting again for the solution of any other question in future, inshallah. Up till then, please take care of yourself, and I am requesting to pray for me as well. Thank you very much for your time. It's time to say goodbye. Allah Hafiz.